Texas Rangers versus 600 Comanche warriors. The Bandera Pass battle. Blood dripped from the arrow shaft, protruding from a ranger's arm, as 600 Comanche warriors circled the willow thicket. There were cries splitting the dawn air. Inside, 40 Texas Rangers checked their ammunition and steeled themselves for what could be their final stand. How did these men find themselves so helplessly outnumbered, and what drove their commander to lead them into such impossible odds? Welcome to Native Legends and History Stories. Today's episode reveals how 40 Texas Rangers faced an overwhelming force of Comanche warriors in one of the most decisive battles of the American frontier. Join our community to explore more untold stories of courage and conflict. 3 days earlier in Corpus Christi, spring 1846, Captain Jack Hayes sat in the hotel lobby, reading a message that would trigger an immediate response. A Comanche war party, 600 strong, had launched a series of devastating raids on settlements southwest of San Antonio. Dozens of homesteads lay in ruins, their occupants either dead, captured, or fled. The Comanche were unrivaled, masters of mounted warfare in the Texas territory. Each warrior began training in childhood, learning to fire 20 arrows per minute while riding at full gallop. Their arsenal was equally impressive. Short, powerful bows modeled after ancient Mongol designs, 14-foot lances originally developed for buffalo hunting, and shields crafted from buffalo hide, treated to deflect bullets. Even the Mexican army, with its superior numbers and firearms, rarely succeeded in mounting an effective defense against their raids. Captain John "Coffee" Jack Hayes commanded respect, despite his unimposing appearance of medium height. With a surprisingly high voice, nothing about his physical presence suggested his reputation as the most feared Texas Ranger commander. The Comanche had placed the highest bounty on his scalp, recognizing him as their most dangerous opponent. His 40 Rangers were all veteran fighters, each man carefully selected for his marksmanship, horsemanship, and experience in frontier combat. The Rangers' equipment reflected their specialized role. Each man carried a long rifle for precision shooting, and the new Patterson Colt revolver, a 5-shot weapon that could be quickly reloaded by switching out the entire cylinder. Their moccasin boots, adopted from native designs, allowed for silent movement when needed. Every Ranger also carried additional loaded cylinders for their revolvers, essential for sustained firefights. Acting immediately on the intelligence, Hayes mobilized his force, their native scouts. Experts in tracking Comanche movements led them along the Medina River past San Antonio. The trail showed signs of a large force moving rapidly: trampled grass, broken branches, and the remnants of hasty camps. The Rangers followed the signs through Bandera Pass and past Enchanted Rock, maintaining a grueling pace. The scouts and veteran Rangers quickly determined the raiders' likely destination: a small lake at the base of Paint Rock. This location served as a crucial water source for Comanche war parties, especially when moving with large numbers of horses. It represented the Rangers' only opportunity to intercept the war party before they could split up and disappear into the northern plains. Hayes pushed his men through the night, knowing speed was essential. They rode without fires or torches, navigating by moonlight to avoid detection. When they finally halted past midnight, the Rangers established a cold camp, maintaining absolute silence. Each man checked his weapons and ammunition, understanding that dawn would find them facing a force that outnumbered them 15-1. The Rangers' preparation reflected their experience. They positioned their horses for quick access, distributed spare ammunition, and assigned firing positions. Hayes had earned his men's loyalty through successful engagements against both Comanche raiders and Mexican forces, now deep in hostile territory and severely outnumbered. Not a single Ranger questioned his judgment or attempted to withdraw. Their discipline and experience would soon be tested against the most formidable warriors of the southern plains. At first light, the Rangers forced their exhausted bodies back into their saddles. The previous day's grueling ride had taken its toll, but Hayes pushed them onward across the limestone terrain. By early evening they reached Paint Rock, its surface covered with ancient native pictographs. Beyond lay their objective, a large pond that served as the Comanche's likely watering hole Fortune favored them; they had arrived first. Hayes quickly directed his men toward a dense willow on the pond's northern edge. The location offered ideal conditions for an ambush. Thick underbrush provided concealment, while the position overlooking the water gave them clear firing lines. Hayes positioned sentries in a circular pattern and ordered the remaining men to rest while maintaining absolute silence. Dawn brought the first sign of the Comanche. Through the morning fog hanging over the pond, dark silhouettes emerged, dozens of warriors. Driving their stolen horse herd toward the water, the Rangers gripped their weapons tighter, every man knowing their first volley would be crucial. Despite their inferior numbers, they held to critical advantages, the element of surprise, and their elevated firing position. Hayes' reputation among both Rangers and Comanche had been earned through such engagements. His men knew him as a methodical commander who favored careful positioning over reckless charges. The Comanche knew him as their most dangerous opponent, placing the highest bounty on his scalp. In all of Comanche, Korea now crouched in the thicket. He waited for the perfect moment to strike. The Comanche approached in loose formation, following standard practice when moving large horse herds. Through hand signals, Hayes directed his men to select individual targets. Each ranger had been chosen for his marksmanship. Now those skills would be tested. The warriors drew closer, completely unaware of the rifles trained on them from less than 50 yards away. When the lead riders came within point-blank range, Hayes' distinctive Tennessee accent cut through the morning mist. Fire 40 rifles roared in near unison. The Rangers' position in the fog-shrouded thicket proved both advantage and hindrance. While it kept them hidden, the limited visibility affected their aim. Several shots went wide, but others found their marks. Multiple warriors fell from their horses, their bodies lying motionless on the ground. The surviving Comanche, displaying the tactical discipline that made them such formidable opponents, immediately retreated beyond rifle range, rather than attempting to recover their fallen comrades. They formed a loose skirmish line, waiting for the rising sun to burn away the fog and reveal more about their attackers. As visibility improved, the Comanche scouts studied the Rangers' tracks leading into the thicket. Their discovery proved significant. The trail revealed that they faced a much smaller force. The Comanche commanders now knew they held an overwhelming numerical advantage against their ambushers. The Comanche commanders quickly assessed their tactical advantage. With clear visibility, they prepared for a direct assault on the willow thicket. Their battle formation demonstrated centuries of refined warfare tactics, perfected through countless engagements across the southern plains. As the sun climbed higher, the Comanche war chief emerged before his warriors. His appearance marked him as a veteran commander. A fringed buckskin shirt decorated with intricate silver work, a buffalo headdress with protective front tuft, and a massive shield that could turn aside rifle fire when properly angled. Standing in his stirrups, he rallied his men with practiced authority, his voice carrying across the battlefield as he organized the coming charge. The Rangers' arsenal proved both advantage and limitation. Their primary weapons were accurate single-shot rifles, supplemented by Patterson Colt revolvers. These .44 caliber handguns, while revolutionary, required complete cylinder removal for reloading. Each Ranger carried multiple preloaded cylinders, but the 5-shot capacity meant careful shot selection remained crucial. The newer Walker Colt pistols, which would later prove decisive in such engagements, had not yet reached the Texas frontier. In contrast, the Comanche warriors carried an arsenal refined through generations of combat and hunting. Their primary weapon was the short bow, a design sharing ancestry with the Mongol weapons that had conquered much of Asia. These compact but powerful bows could loose arrows with deadly accuracy from horseback. Their 14-foot lances, originally developed for buffalo hunting, proved equally lethal against human targets. Many warriors also carried shields crafted from thick buffalo hide, treated and hardened to deflect bullets when properly positioned. Through trading and raiding, some had acquired rifles, adding to their already formidable capabilities. Hayes understood the critical nature of their situation. Pick your targets carefully, he instructed his men. Every shot must find its mark. We won't get second chances if they break through. The Rangers' position offered good fields of fire, but their ammunition was limited and the enemy's numbers were overwhelming. The Comanche attack began with tactical sophistication that belied the common perception of savage warfare. Rather than a simple frontal assault, they employed their signature rotating wheel formation. Warriors formed a circular pattern, each rider approaching the Rangers' position at full gallop. As they passed within optimal range, warriors released their arrows while presenting minimal target profiles, then wheeled back to rejoin the formation's rear, reloading as they rode. This rotating attack pattern created a continuous stream of fresh warriors engaging the Rangers while minimizing exposure to return fire. Arrows began raining into the thicket in waves, their volume increasing as more warriors joined the assault. The air filled with the distinctive whirring of arrow flights, mixed with war cries and thundering hoofs. Hayes waited until the leading elements of the Comanche formation came within optimal rifle range. The Rangers held their fire, understanding that premature shots would waste precious ammunition when Hayes finally gave the command. 40 rifles spoke in staggered sequence rather than one ragged volley. This disciplined fire allowed each Ranger to aim carefully rather than shooting in haste. The effect was devastating. Dozens of warriors fell from their mounts, their bodies tumbling across the ground as their riderless horses either charged forward in panic or wheeled back into the main formation. The Rangers' elevated position and prepared firing lanes had allowed them to maximize the effectiveness of their first volley. The Comanche response demonstrated their tactical flexibility. Instead of breaking off the attack entirely, the formations split into smaller units. These groups maintained the rotating attack pattern, but from multiple directions, forcing the Rangers to divide their fire. Some warriors armed with rifles provided covering fire, while others continued the arrow barrage, creating a complex tactical problem for the defenders. Each pass brought the warriors closer to the thicket. Their arrows found gaps in the Rangers' cover, while their shields deflected many return shots. The thundering hoofs and war cries created a disorienting cacophony, a psychological weapon as effective as their arrows. Yet the Rangers maintained their discipline, choosing shots carefully and making maximum use of their prepared positions. The Comanche commanders adapted their strategy after the initial assault's failure. They shifted their attack vectors southward, using the wounded warriors crawling toward Paint Rock's cliffs as a distraction. This tactical adjustment aimed to split the Rangers, a tension between defending their position and preventing their enemies from reaching cover. Hayes recognized the ploy, but couldn't ignore the threat of wounded warriors potentially returning to combat. The second assault came with modified tactics. Instead of the rotating formation, the Comanche attempted a more direct approach. From the south, the Rangers held their ground, their disciplined volleys once again forcing the attackers to withdraw to the cliffs. During this lull, both sides assessed their positions. The Rangers reloaded methodically. The Comanche used this time to regroup and tend to their wounded, while their scouts studied the Rangers' defenses for vulnerabilities. The third attack proved more determined than the previous two. The war chief personally led hundreds of warriors in a charge aimed at the thicket's southern edge. Hayes maintained strict fire discipline, ordering his men to hold until the attackers came within point-blank range. This patience proved crucial when the Rangers finally opened fire. Their close-range volleys proved devastatingly effective. After this repulse, the Comanche leadership devised a new strategy. They would abandon the complex maneuvers in favor of overwhelming force. A massive lance charge designed to close distance quickly and engage in close combat, where their superior numbers would prove decisive. The 14-foot lances, lethal in buffalo hunting, could easily outreach the Rangers' rifles in close quarters. Hundreds of warriors, now in tight formation, thundered toward the Rangers' position. The ground shook under the weight of charging horses as warriors lowered their lances for the kill. Yet again, the Rangers' superior position and disciplined fire broke the charge before it could reach the thicket. This pattern continued throughout the afternoon. Each Comanche charge employed slightly different tactics, varying approaches, different formations. Altered timing. The Rangers adapted their defense accordingly, adjusting firing positions and conserving ammunition. As losses mounted, the Comanche attacks grew increasingly determined, fueled by both tactical necessity and vengeance for fallen comrades. As dusk approached, both sides faced new challenges. The Comanche withdrew beyond rifle range but remained visible, establishing camp in a show of determination. Hayes used the respite to reorganize his defenses. He established a rotating sentry system, positioning men to cover all approaches to the thicket. The Rangers' control of the lake proved strategically vital. It provided them drinking water while forcing the Comanche to travel several miles to access safe water sources. The night brought its own form of combat. Comanche warriors repeatedly attempted to recover their fallen comrades under cover of darkness. These recovery missions held both practical and spiritual significance. They needed to prevent the Rangers from capturing weapons and supplies, while their beliefs demanded proper burial rites for the dead. The Rangers' sentries maintained constant vigilance, their rifles cracking in the darkness as they engaged these infiltration attempts. Several warriors fell in these nighttime recovery missions, adding to the bodies scattered across the battlefield. Dawn of the second day brought no respite. The Comanche, their determination undiminished, launched fresh attacks with renewed tactical sophistication. They divided their force into 4 autonomous groups, each striking from a different direction. The strategy aimed to stretch the Rangers' defense to its breaking point, forcing them to divide their fire across multiple threat axes. Each Comanche group operated independently, but coordinated their attacks for maximum effect. While one group charged, others provided covering fire with captured rifles or maintained arrow barrages. Some warriors used the terrain features around Paint Rock for cover, attempting to work closer to the Rangers' position. Between assaults, this coordinated approach forced the Rangers to maintain constant vigilance across all sectors, while carefully managing their dwindling ammunition supplies. Hayes adapted his defense to meet this new threat. He organized his men into sectors, each responsible for covering specific approaches. The Rangers' elevated position in the thicket remained advantageous, but the multiple threat axis required precise ammunition management and careful coordination between defensive sectors. Small groups of Rangers shifted positions as needed, reinforcing areas under heaviest attack while maintaining enough. The coordinated Comanche attacks repeatedly threatened to overwhelm the Rangers' position. Several assaults came within yards of breaching the thicket's defenses, their 14-foot lances nearly reaching the defenders. Only precisely timed volleys and quick repositioning of forces prevented the Comanche from exploiting these near breakthroughs. When darkness finally fell on the second day, both sides withdrew to their respective positions, the Rangers maintaining their defensive posture, while the Comanche regrouped beyond rifle range. Hayes implemented a strict rotation for the night watch, ensuring maximum rest for his men while maintaining security. The Rangers' ammunition count had become critical. Each man carefully inventoried his remaining rounds, sharing resources to ensure every firing position had adequate supplies. Their native scouts reported signs of Comanche messengers departing northwest, likely seeking reinforcements from other bands. The third dawn brought a new Comanche assault. Taking advantage of the dim light, warriors charged the thicket before visibility was fully established. The Rangers' disciplined fire once again proved decisive, though their dwindling ammunition supplies forced even more selective shooting. The Comanche focused all their attacks on the thicket's northern approach, perhaps hoping to concentrate enough force to finally breach the Rangers' defenses. Each successive charge resulted in mounting Comanche casualties. Despite sustaining no fatalities themselves, the Rangers witnessed the devastating effect of their defensive fire. The battlefield became littered with fallen warriors and horses, the ground churned and bloodied by hours of combat. The Comanches' losses were severe, but their tactical adjustments showed no sign of wavering determination. Around mid-morning, the war chief assembled his remaining warriors in a formal battle line, a departure from their previous mobile tactics. His commanding presence and forceful address to his men, though incomprehensible to the Rangers, clearly indicated a decisive moment was at hand. The warriors' response suggested they were preparing for an all-or-nothing charge. Hayes recognized this as both opportunity and crisis point. He made an unprecedented tactical decision, moving to a position slightly forward of the thicket. This exposed location offered him a clear shot at the Comanche leadership while placing himself at extreme risk from enemy fire. His men maintained their positions, understanding the crucial nature of their captain's gambit. The final Comanche charge commenced with maximum force. Hundreds of warriors thundered forward, their war cries and pounding hoofs creating a deafening roar. Hayes remained motionless, his rifle trained on the advancing war chief. The distance closed rapidly, 200 yards, 100 yards, 50 yards. Arrows began striking around Hayes' position and into the thicket behind him. The critical moment came when the war chief turned briefly to direct his warriors' attack pattern. The slight movement exposed his torso beyond the protection of his shield. Hayes took the shot instantly, his rifle executing the kind of precision fire he was famous for throughout Texas. The war chief fell from his horse, the shot proving immediately fatal. The psychological impact of the chief's death created instant chaos in the Comanche ranks. Warriors instinctively moved to recover their fallen leader, clustering around his body in violation of basic tactical principles. The Rangers exploited this concentration of targets, their coordinated fire inflicting heavy casualties on the now stationary warriors. In a bold and controversial move, a ranger charged out from the thicket on horseback, rope in hand despite intense enemy fire. He managed to secure the dead chief's body and drag it back to the ranger position. This action, while tactically risky, dealt a decisive psychological blow to the Comanche force. The loss of their war chief, combined with their already severe casualties, finally broke the Comanche's will to continue the battle. Their withdrawal northwest was orderly but definitive. Hayes maintained tactical discipline, keeping his men in defensive positions for several hours to guard against possible deception. He understood that the Comanche's tactical sophistication meant any apparent retreat could mask a final surprise attack. The battle's conclusion demonstrated the crucial role of leadership in frontier warfare. Hayes' calculated risk in exposing himself to take the crucial shot, combined with the Rangers' disciplined fire and defensive positioning, had allowed 40 men to withstand a 3-day siege by a force that outnumbered them 15-1. The Comanches' loss of their war chief proved the tipping point, transforming a tactically stable situation into a decisive victory. After confirming the Comanche withdrawal, the Rangers began battlefield recovery operations. They collected valuable intelligence from captured weapons, equipment, and personal effects. The battle's cost was strikingly uneven. The Rangers suffered only one wounded man, struck by an arrow in his forearm during the final charge, and lost a single horse. In contrast, they counted over 100 dead Comanche warriors on the field, with evidence suggesting many more casualties had been carried away by their retreating comrades. The Battle of Bandera Pass marked Captain Hayes' final engagement with the Comanche in Texas. His tactical innovations and leadership style significantly influenced frontier warfare doctrine. Hayes would later distinguish himself, commanding Rangers in the Mexican-American War, before ultimately seeking new opportunities in California during the Gold Rush. The Comanche continued their fierce resistance against Texas expansion for decades after Bandera Pass.